Awesome. There we go. All right. We are back for part 5 of the Mistwood update review overview shindig. Okay. Let's get this done. It's been a week since the patch has come out. It's Christmas Day. Merry Christmas, everyone. Happy holidays to whatever you celebrate. Um, yeah, I mean, a new patch dropped last week, and there's already a update, 7.28a, with not significant changes. I think just some minor tweaks to some balances. But overall, I'm just finishing this off because hey, I like to know what's in a patch and I like to know my heroes. So I think we finish Outer World Destroyer, Disruptor, Disperser, the Outer World guy, the guy who lives on the outside. And so that means we still got quite a bit to go through. Oh my god, why are there so many S heroes? Ugh. Okay, but that's all right. You know what? I'm gonna crack through these pretty quickly. I'm not gonna spend a whole bunch of time. I did quickly read through the patch notes for 7.28a, and if I remember them off the top of my head, I'll make a quick note if there's been a significant change to it. But all right. I played a game as Outer World Devourer since the patch, and kind of what I said rung true. He's just a little more simpler. He's just a little more of a simpler hero. He just still does what he does. Um, I didn't end up using this essence swaps. Honestly, it's my first impression of it that this was quite strong, but the amount that it heals is okay. Um, I think it's quite balanced for what I think they're trying to have the Agnum shards like power jump be, but anyway. Angolier. So shield crash damage has been increased slightly at the earlier stages. Shield crash mana costs reduced by 10 mana across all levels. Shield crash cooldown reduced from 19, essentially down 1 second in each level, from 19 to 13, scaling down. Um, it's I don't know. So again, quite quite usual with this patch. Um, the it's tended doing like slight tweaks to skills on the earlier end. Um, yeah, I mean, it makes this a little more usable at the start. It's nice to get one skill point in Crash Shield, I think, early on. Um, I haven't tried using it as like a strong like for me, Pangolier. Usually, I play him in the off lane, and he's got enough of an escape with his Q that I feel like his lack of tankiness not too much of an issue. That's something you need to consider. But he's just evasive enough with his Q that you can kind of get away with it. I don't know. Who knows? Maybe there's a an early game build where Shield Crash is kind of the main skill you're going for. But eh. I think it would hamper you too much going into the mid game because you really want your Q to be leveled up nice and well for the mid game. His level 10 talent has been increased from 350 swashbuckle slash range to 400. Okay. Yeah. Whatever the other one is, I always think I end up getting the other one is, which I think was mana. You have to choose between mana and the range on that, so I always find Pangolier as a mana issue. You can always just be like spamming your Q, so more mana on Pangolier you can get never hurts you. Level 20 talent increased from 16 strength to 18. Cool. Slight buff. Slight buff. Alright, so his shard is roll up. So it grants a new skill that turns you into a protective ball for up to 4 seconds, gaining magic immunity and allowing you to turn. Can be cast during Thunder Roll to temporarily pause it. Okay, so I'm guessing that like you're rolling, stop, turn, and then you go. And you gain magic immunity. Don't you have magic immunity when you're in this anyway? I thought you did. I thought you were immune to magic damage. You couldn't be stunned out of it. I know you could, like, certain things can mess you up, like Bane's ulti is a great counter to Pangalier's ulti, so, but that goes through magic immunity anyway, so I'm having troubles wrapping my brain around how this magic immunity actually really affects. I mean, I guess the main part of it is while you're not rolling. I don't know. I don't know. You tell me. What's that magic immunity for? Because I don't think he takes damage. I don't think he takes damage when he's in his ball. You can still target him with spells. Yeah, doesn't matter. If enemies attack you during roll up, he'll roll you away. And that bit that you're rolling as you're getting hit can hit other people. So it's just a, I mean, it's a cool little way if you're in trouble and you're just waiting for those last couple seconds on your queue to come up so you can escape. That's a nice way to um, make you just magic immune. I guess you can dodge a spell with it, right? That's the cool part. Yeah. Phantom Assassin. So blur fade time for non-scepter reduced from 0.75 to 0.5. Nice. Blur evasion reduced from 20 scaling up to 50 down to 15 scaling up to 45. Okay, so they're nerfing his evasion a bit, or evasion a bit. So the level 10 talent reduced from 175 health down to 150. Level 15 talent reduced from 350 Phantom Strike cast range to 300. I was surprised when I got this. Like, I don't know when they actually came out with that increased cast range for this, but it's great honor. It's really, really great honor. I haven't been playing a lot of Phantom Assassin lately because I've already had a lot of games with that hero. So I've been trying to diversify a little bit, but felt really good. Felt really good when I played this. And um, sorry, I'm going to jump ahead to her Agnum Shard here, but Phantom Knives is a break. It releases a sharp blades around you in a 550 AoE, dealing 12% of the enemy's max health on impact. So even a bit of a tank killer as well. But I think the main thing for that is the break, which is awesome, right? I mean, you could get away with going a Silver Edge um, on Phantom Assassin, but it's not ideal. She doesn't really have the economy really to do it, so I don't think it's the best build on her. So giving her this Agnum Shard, 1400 gold, and then you can take care of the whole break issue. I think that's it's a really good buff on her. Her level 25 talent changed from 100% critical damage to 7% coup de grace. Chance. Okay. Phantom Lancer. Base intelligence increased from 19 to 21. Spirit last mana cost rescaled from 110, scaling up to 140 down to just a flat 120 at all levels. Phantom Rush agility bonus is still provided if the dash is cancelled. That's big. That's actually quite big. Because then you can give yourself this agility buff quite liberally, even if it means, like, before you kind of had to commit to a target outside or in your rush range. So if you're too close to something, you couldn't really utilize that. Now that you can target something that will actually proc your Phantom Rush, but then stop and then attack the target you're right next to anyway, and still have that agility bonus. That's good. Really, really good. Phantom Rush minimum proc distance reduced, so they reduce that down to 200. So nice. Yeah, it always kind of felt awkward. I mean, it was a cool skill and it's quite strong, but it was always just a bit awkward. So it looks like they're kind of addressing a bit of that awkwardness right now. Level 15 talent increased from -1 second Spirit Lance cooldown to 2. Good. I mean, I think that was quite low. I mean, for a level 15 talent, just a 1 second cooldown on the Q seemed a bit underwhelming. Level 20 talent increased from 400 Phantom Rush range down to 350. Scepter rework. Juxtaposition can now be cast, destroying your other juxtaposition illusions and quickly creating the max illusions it allows. Okay. With a bonus 10-second duration. I want to see this. I want to see this. That actually looks like. Gonna work. I have to do this manually, aren't I? Oh, you know what it is. There we go. There we go. There's my switcheroo. Okay. Let's see this. Lancer. Lancer. I have a lot of mixed emotions about Phantom Lancer. I really like him as a hero, but he just like drops in and out of the meta so often in patches that it's like, I don't know. When I want to play him, he's not good. When he's really, really good in the meta, I feel guilty about playing him because he's too good. Anyway, let's get a dummy target. Anyway, first of all, that was the thing I was talking about. Hey, now I can still hit this guy with my bonus. Wait, did that work? Yeah, it doesn't last long. It's such a short cooldown on it. So I cast this. X. Okay, that's a decent hotkey for legacy keys. Kudos. What? Wait. Okay, so I think you're meant to use it when... I mean, that's just going to be endless, isn't it? So I cast him over here. What is the point of that? I mean, I get there's something going on here, so I'm running away. I'm running away. And all of a sudden I want to confuse the enemy. I do this. But then I need to do this right away. I mean, I think it's probably a damage cast, isn't it? The point of it is to just suddenly have all your illusions, right? So, I mean, instead of waiting, like how long is this going to take me to get full illusions? Quite a damn long time. And I can have up to 10? Like, I'm not even close. Even just like attacking straight, getting up to 10 illusions is almost next to impossible. Seems like. I mean, obviously, if I have more attack items or attack speed items, I'll be getting a lot more illusions, but the fact that I can just run up to somebody and then just clobber up like that with full illusions and then move to another target. Okay. That's the Agnums, though. I mean, that's 4,000 gold to do it. I don't know. I don't know. I don't know if that's good, to be honest. It seems expensive. It seems very expensive. I mean, mind you, so the changes with the heart, I don't know. Used to go hard on Phantom Monster, then it became a little more viable to go Satanic. Now they changed the heart kind of in his favor. This is a hero that I'm just gonna have to see what people do with because I don't seem to always have a great read on what's good for that hero. I mean, stats are always good. Stats are good because they carry in your illusions. Yeah. All right, let's move on to Phoenix. Supernova cooldown increased from 110 to 120. Supernova mana cost rescaled from 200 down to 150, scaling up to 250. Sunray mana cost increased from 100. Now it scales from 100 all the way up to 130. Level 10 talent increased from 18% Icarus Dive slow to 14, so they buffed that. I really like that they put a slow on that. Quite a good buff for this hero. Doesn't really have much crowd control, but now with the slow, you can do some really good catching with this hero. Love this hero. One of my favorites, to be honest. So, Agnum's Shard ability, Fire Spirits become a passive ability. Every 7 seconds, you spawn a new Fire Spirit. Okay. I mean, I don't think that's that useful. I mean, you always can have a maximum of 4. Every 7 seconds. think it's okay. Like, if this was something that took effect earlier in the game, before 20 minutes, I think it would be quite huge. But by 20 minutes, you tend to either be like you're on or you're off, which means that W skill, it's either on or it's off. Just to be kind of gradually gaining these fire spirits, I don't think is a huge benefit to the hero. You'll maybe get an extra 2 fire spirits in a battle. If it's a very long battle, maybe a few more, but I don't think it's that. I think that's one of the worst Agnum shards I've seen so far. Um, but like I said, I mean, you have to try the hero. You have to try the hero, play it a few times to really get the feel of what that does. I'm just guessing that that's not going to be that good. Puck. Agility gain increased from 2.2 to 2.5. Okay. Turn rate improved from zero point 0.5 to zero point 0.8. Illusionary orb damage increased by only 5 at the early level, so 70 scaling up to 280. Now it's 75 scaling up to 300. Waning Rift max distance increased from 275 to 300. Bit of a buff on that. Dream Coil Scepter Link Break Stun duration rescaled from 1.8 scaling up to 4.5. Now it's 2 scaling up to 4.5. Bit of a buff on the earlier levels. Yeah, okay. Base ability is 1.8 to 3. Okay. Like slight changes to the stun duration on Agnums, and honestly I don't really get Agnums too often on this hero. I don't think it's that useful. Dream Coil initial damage increased from 100, scaling up to 200. Now it's 125, scaling up to 275. Bit of a buff. I think it needed it. Dream Coil is really good, don't get me wrong. I think Dream Coil is an amazing skill, but the stats that you increase on it, like if you're going from a 3-second stun to a 4-second stun on the break damage, like I think the most powerful thing about that skill is the fact that you've locked the heroes into that position, and they have to either choose to stay in that position or take a heavy stun damage. Um, just the psychology of this skill makes it so strong. Um, if it was just a straight stun, I don't know. It's cool. It's cool. It's a really cool ability. But changes to it don't seem that significant. Buying an Agnum Scepter to me doesn't seem to significantly improve it, in my opinion. Level 10 talent increased from 25 damage up to 30. Level 25 talent reduced from 300 Waning Rift AoE and range to down to 750. Okay. So now the Agnum Shard upgrade. Waning Rift now deals 70 bonus damage and knocks enemies back. Yes. I had a puck in on my team. Actually saved me with this. That bit of knockback. It may not seem like much, but it's significant in team fights. In the hands of a skillful player, knockback can be very useful. You can put people down cliffs, up cliffs. In the case that I was playing, and the enemy just needed to give me one more melee hit, and the puck just knocked the guy away from me, and saved my butt. It was pretty great. So you do have to be careful with it though, because once you have that knockback, you have that knockback, and you have to be conscious of it, because you can mess up things. Like you can knock an enemy up a cliff into safety. Um, so it's not always best. You can sometimes knock enemies out of a spell that they're otherwise going to get hit by. So yeah, but overall, I think it's interesting. I'm not sure if it's that significant. It's certainly, I would say, like a medium to low significance in terms of this Agnum Shard. Pudge. Base damage increased by 2. Base armor increased by 1. Armor goes a long way on Pudge. I'm just going to say that right now. Anybody who plays Pudge, want this hero to be useful, get some armor and get in people's faces. Right? Don't stand in the trees hoping for a good hook. Get some armor, get in people's faces. Agility gain reduced from 1.5 to 1.4. Strength gain reduced from 3.2 to 3. Flesh Heap magic resistance increased from 8 scaling up to 14. Now it's 12 scaling up to 18. Nice. That's a I mean it's not a huge magic resistance, but for Pudge it goes a long way. It's enough to deter people from casting spells on him. And you notice it. You notice it. I definitely noticed it recently. I casted Laguna Blade on him. And I'm like, yep, guy's got magic resistance now. I mean, he did for a while, but they kept flip-flopping on it back and forth. I must admit, I did like it when Pudge had feel like just gave him natural mana regen because it made him really strong in the laning stage. Not mana regen, health regen. But I think the magic resistance is just a natural thing that Pudge really benefits from. So the fact that they put that back on his flesh heap, I think it's where it belongs. It's what flesh heap belongs to be. Anyway, level 10 talent changed from 30 rot damage to 14% rot slows. Looks like they're doing a bit of a switcheroo, so now you're getting your rot slows sooner, which I think is good. Gives them more utility, makes them a little more useful earlier mid game. Rot damage was nice, but it also affected you. So you kind of had to do this trade-off. Like, am I going to do damage and then die? Or now it's like, I'm going to kind of keep tanky, and slowing is kind of more my forte rather than dealing damage. Level 15 talent, so this doesn't have the rot slow. Now you can get plus 120 pure damage, meat hook. Which, okay. Yeah, I meat hook's good, don't get me wrong. The damage on it is significant, especially to squishy heroes. So a scepter rework. Increase rot radius by 200. Damage by 80. Reduces health regen on affected enemies by 25%. Wow. I mean, that's okay. It's not huge. 25%. I mean, it's no vessel. It's not replacing the use of a vessel, but you stack that up with a vessel. Pudge can be a really good counter to Huskar, um, to Alchemist. Just by standing next to him, putting on a vessel charge, that hero is not going to get any lifesteal or regen. It'd be cool if this might be too strong and overpowered, but if they change these health regen, like reducing health regen effects to just reducing healing in general. So even if Pugna is sitting behind healing one of his teammates, if that health regen would reduce that amount as well, which I don't think it does. But I don't think it'd be too overpowered. I think it'd just make it that much a mechanic in the game that would be a little more usable, exploitable. Is Agnum Shard. So Dismember allows targeting an ally, swallowing them and healing them for 6% of max health per second. And has the half cooldown when it's used on allies. Okay. So this one's definitely, this one reminds me of the Batrider one. Again, where you have a single target not channeled, Batrider's not channeled, but you have a single target, long duration, disable that cuts through BKB. Now, but you have to share the cooldown with then using it as a utility for your teammates. And I don't like it. I don't like the idea that I have to go into a battle as Pudge. Either I'm going to initiate, start with a dismember, or I'm going to save it, and see where it's needed. Who knows, maybe chomping up my core who just, he was in bad position, or ended up just taking a brunt of the enemy team's nukes, and all of a sudden you just eat them up, jump out of there, get him in a good position and healed up a bit. I mean, that could make a big difference in a battle. Trading that off with his usual use of dismember, that's a bit tricky though. Like I said, I think a lot of these Agnum shards are adding a complexity to a very already complex game, and certainly like complex team fight situations. So it's interesting. That's all I'll say. It's interesting. Pugna. So he's only got a Agnum's Shard ability upgrade, so Life Drain. For every 1.75 seconds of channeling on an enemy, another secondary Life Drain is created, targeting another random hero in his cast range. You will continue to channel until there are no enemy heroes available, or the channel duration runs out. It was just like compounding Life Drain. When one dies, and the other ones stay, and it all just keeps going until his duration is gone. Okay. I mean, in very certain circumstances, this is going to be very strong. In I think most circumstances, it'll be okay. I see it almost as Witch Doctor Agnums, where it's like situationally, it can be very strong. A lot of the time, it's going to be just a little bit strong. Mind you, like the fact that you're then healing off of two heroes like twice your ulti, I mean, it is doubling his ulti essentially, right? And as long as he's not going to get disabled, yeah, I mean, that's quite strong. It's strong indeed. Queen of Pain, strength gain increased from 2.2 to 2.4. Level 10 talent increased from 8 strength to 9. Level 25 talent changed from Scream of Pain Fear to plus 200 Sonic Wave damage. Slightly tankier. Bit more damage. They took away our Scream of Pain Fear. Was too broken. Or are they going to put it on the Agnum's Shard? Let's see. So upgrade. So our Agnum Shard's upgrades are Blink. Releases a Sonic Boom when you blink, both at your starting and end locations. Dealing 150 damage in a 300 AoE. And silencing. So they've added the silence to her Blink. And you have to buy the Agnum Shard for it. Kinda cool. That's kinda cool. That's a strong Agnum Shard. So this is a very useful Agnum Shard. I think you get a lot out of this by buying it. Does it change her? Does it change the way you build her and play her? I don't think significantly. It's just an ad. You're getting that silence sooner. Like usually you go Orchid on Queen of Pain. So potentially having 2 silences, or if you don't go Orchid, you have the 1 silence. It is an AoE silence for 1.5 seconds, which not a huge length of time, but not insignificant either. And keep in mind, if you just need an extra bit of damage right on the spot and you're okay, don't need to escape, you can just double this up by just blinking in the same spot. I think. I mean, the damage will double up. I don't think the silence would, though. I don't know. I could be wrong. Does the silence stack? Be interesting to know. Why don't we check that out? Sorry, Fallen Angel. Not in this moment. Let's see. Quap. Quap. I probably don't have her here. Quap. Oops. Demo. Alright, shard. Shard. So we're just looking at silence duration here. With the blink. Blink. No, see, that's just only going to do 0.5. The damage is doubled. Yeah. Damage is doubled. Silence stays the same. So that's something to consider. If you want to maximize the area effect of your silence, I mean, you run into a battle. Hopefully you're up next to both of their cores and you see their supports in the back. Bop. Silence them. That's really good. That's a strong shard for sure. Hard to imagine where you're not going to be tempted to spend 1,400 gold for a silence and an extra nuke on your blink. Okay. Razor. Base movement speed increased. Just by 5. So from 2.85 to 2.9. A base HP regen increased from 0 to 1. Plasma field minimum damage increased from 15, scaling up to 45. Now it's 35, scaling up to 50. Okay. I don't think that's huge or significant. Bit more damage when you're right up to someone when you're casting that, but usually that's not your main target when you're casting it. Or you're just doing it for the slow. So. And the Agnum Shard causes Storm Surge to have an 18% chance to release a forked lightning when attacked or always when targeted with a spell. Hitting the target and up to 2 other enemies, dealing 120 damage and slowing them by 50%. Wow. So whenever someone's hitting them, chance to zap them back. If someone casts a spell on you, it'll automatically zap. All right, so it's a bit what his passive used to be, because he used to have that passive where if you targeted him with a spell, you would get zapped. And it was zapped and slow, and the slow is important. It's not for a long duration, but you're trying to chase down or run away from Razor. That's just like that slow just makes it that much harder. Ricky. Smokescreen can now be cast during Tricks of Trade. Oh, that's really good. It's a big change. Makes him more elusive than he already is. Smokescreen radius increase from 280 to 370. Now it's 300, scaling up to 375. So a bit of a buff on the radius of the smoke. I just want to say that first change, those are the kind of changes I really like in a patch, where there's this slight little nuance that you change to how a hero's abilities interact with each other that just really like solidify the feel of the hero. And a quick example I can think of is when they changed Treant so that he can cast his spells without breaking his invis. Like it's this kind of minute but like really well solidifying change to the hero where it really changes and solidifies how that hero is played. Um, I mean, this isn't as significant as that maybe, but the fact that hey, I channeling Tricks of the Trade, guess what? I can also just throw down my smoke screen. Um, Suddenly, everyone who's waiting with a short range stun to stun me as soon as I get out of my Tricks of the Trade, I just plop my smoke down and I can continue to attack, or I can get myself out. Great, it's really good. Smoke screen miss rate rescaled, so it's slightly less on the earlier, slightly higher on the end for miss rates. So 25 scaling up to 50, now it's 20 scaling up to 65. Smokescreen mana cost reduced from 90 to 75. Tricks of the Trade Scepter cast range reduced from 1,000. I actually didn't, to be honest, rarely have I ever bought I don't think I ever did, now that I'm thinking about it. I don't think I've ever gotten a Scepter on Ricky. I get what it does, I've seen it a few times. But I didn't realize the cast range on it was so huge, which I think maybe that's the biggest utility of it, is that you have this extra mobility cast, which then also makes you invulnerable and makes a lot of damage go out around wherever you happen to cast it on. So the fact that they nerfed that, first of all, I didn't know that it was that much cast range, but they nerfed that cast range makes sense to me. Tricks of the Trade Scepter upgrade now hits 2 units at once rather than 1. Okay, so there's the buff. There's the buff that you want to see with this. I don't think I didn't buy Tricks of the Trade Scepter before. The fact that you debuff the range on that, like maybe the fact that you can cast it so far might make me think twice. The fact that you can hit 2 units now once it's going, really I think changes the hero, because now I'm gonna seriously consider getting Agnums on this hero and play Ricky as that sort of I don't know, bounty hunter Ricky. They provide something very unique to Dota that I think most people are not comfortable with. But when it works, you see it working. And I love playing that way. I love being this sort of like very stealthy, elusive, just disruptive hero. You don't really provide much in the way of crowd control, tankiness, even stuns. What we do provide is like secret vision, um, and just chaos, just sheer chaos. Um, so you can get away. You don't have to be the hard carry on your team. Ricky's like, think about it. Think about a Ricky and think about what lane Ricky goes into. Whatever lane Ricky goes into, somebody has issue with it. You put Ricky in the off lane as a 3 or a 4, people are like, why are you doing that? You put Ricky as a mid, people are saying, why are you doing that? You put Ricky as a position 1 carry, people are like, why are you doing that? And it's because Ricky's doing something very, very specific in the game. Um, and it's effective. It's effective. Ricky's got win rates. I've got a decent win rate with this hero because he does what he does very well. And honestly, he can almost do it from any lane. Like you can be a menace in the off lane with Ricky. He's quite tanky at first. He doesn't suffer as much from like he used to go the invis, and then he would be countered by sentry wards, and then it's all about that sentry ward battle in the laning stage. But now, like they gave him enough tankiness that he can sustain. He's got a blink that he can kind of keep himself alive and safe. And then if he has an okay lane, he can provide quite a bit of good utility into the team, scaling up. And if he has a good lane, like Ricky can really snowball. So yeah, man, I like him. I like him. So sorry, I'm kind of diverged from what my point was, but building a scepter on him, yeah, I mean, you have the flexibility with Ricky to be a little more of a utility. You don't need to be the only damage dealing core on your team. You can kind of have this extra bit of health from the Agnum stats, plus this nice damage add. So Agnum's shard ability is Sleeping Dart. Grants Sleeping Dart. Agnum Shard grants Sleeping Dart. Okay, so fires a target at the enemy, putting them asleep for 3 seconds. Target is invulnerable until duration ends. When the target wakes up, they receive 150 damage and are slowed by 25% for 4 seconds. Cooldown's only 20 seconds. Oh, cool. There's his utility. So this just like amplifies the point that I was making before, is that you can play this hero as a little more of a utility hero. Think about it. That is quite significant. The fact that you can just knock a hero out for 3 seconds in a team fight every 20 seconds. That's good. Throw this at Bristleback. Bristleback is a non-issue. Throw this at their tank, their crowd controller. That hero is a non-issue. There's a menace of a Sven who ulties and jumps in the middle of your team. Sleep them. Kill the rest of their team. Come back to them, you know. Same with Death Prophet. Anything that like really just like can produce a lot of damage really quickly, and you just need to get away from, sleep them. And Agnum Shard is a cheap item. You have to wait 20 minutes to get it, but very useful, very useful. I think that's quite strong for sure, and it gives Ricky this kind of cool dynamic for sure, being a little more of a utility hero. Rubik. Arcane Supremacy no longer provides debuff amp. Arcane Supremacy now provides cast range, 75, scaling up to 225. Wow. And that's an aura, I believe, right? Or is it just on him? Look, they keep changing the skill, right? If they keep changing the skill, how am I supposed to keep up? Not like I only play Rubik. Select hero. Rubik's one of the first heroes I got 50 games with. Makes me sad because he's a very, very fun hero to play. I'm just saying if this is a ability, passive, non-aura, right? Can't switch it anymore. Used to be able to switch it. You guys aren't getting it. So it's just for him. He's just giving himself cast range and spell amp. Okay. Bit less utility on him, so I'm probably like jumping back a few patches here. Where it used to be an aura, and he actually gave some utility to his teammates. Now it's more personal, and I think, I don't know, Rubik. You've seen the players who play this hero well, who do a really good job of it, and then there's everyone else who is kind of just like meh. Most of the time, you're gonna get these Rubiks that are meh. So the fact that they would have a utility type of role in their team made a little more sense. But who knows? Maybe we'll see more of that skillful Rubik um, as people practice. All it takes, right? All it takes is practice. Okay, so Spell Steal now provides bonus 10% scaling up to 30% debuff amp. Okay. Yeah, cool. Spell Steal cooldown rescaled from 20 down to 16. Now it's 26 down to 14. Okay. Spell Steal Scepter cooldown rescaled. 2%. Well, this just made sense, right? If you know you're going Agnums on Rubik, why would you, I mean, I guess for the duration that you can keep the spell, but there was very little incentive to actually level up his ulti because you were just going to get his Agnums anyway, which mostly is for the cast rate, or for the cooldown. Now there's actually a bit of variance in when you get your Agnums and the level of your cool or your ultimate. So, okay. Okay. Level 10 talent changed from 50 base damage to Fade Bolt steals hero damage. Interesting. Level 15 talent changed from Fade Bolt steals hero damage to 100 base damage. Okay. So there's a little more, like, he seems like he is being shifted more towards a core role, away from a support role, which honestly I think makes sense. It's always like, before I think he was just in this very awkward position between being a good position 4 and a bad position 3. Now he's like, you can get away with putting him as like a core mid laner, and hopefully you can cast those spells really quickly and steal the right spell at the right time, because that's the joy of Rubik, is the thieving of spells. All right, so his Agnum Shard allows you to use telekinesis on yourself or an ally. That good? You know, some poor bastard is gonna get cliffed up by their own Rubik on their own team. Yeah, or he can cliff himself if he needs to get away. That's interesting. Interesting. And has a cooldown reduced by 30% when targeting allies. Throw delay is reduced to 0.5 seconds. I mean, you can, like, that's a huge range. I think that's the biggest part of this that you have to notice, is the range that you can actually toss someone. You can use that as initiation. That's almost like a mini Snapfire Agnums when you think about it. Throw your Centaur into the middle of their team. Throw a poor, squishy support that happens to be running away last into safety. I like it. I like it a lot. That's quite good. Sand King. Epicenter now uses cast time instead of channel time. Yes. This is good. This is a good change. I mean, Shadow Fiend got it. Why did poor Sand King have to suffer all these years with his ulti? Shadow Fiend can, like, do his little dance, get interrupted. Do his little dance, get interrupted. And then eventually get off his ulti, where poor Sand King, you have to be like ninja in the trees, hoping nobody sees you, like a screen away from where the battle is actually happening to actually get your ulti off. Now it's like, okay, if it gets interrupted while you're trying to ulti, you'll have another chance. So that's a big buff. That's a big buff on Sand King. This is another hero that, like, once they've done little changes to him, goes a long way. First of all, it's all about his Sandstorm, right? As soon as they stopped making Sandstorm channeling, huge on the hero. It just, like, freed him up so much. Like, Sandstorm was a good skill, but then just became 4 times a better skill, the fact that he wasn't pinned down by channeling. Yeah. So his his Agnum's Shard now does a tiny little epicenter every, was it 4 seconds? 2 seconds? It's neat. I mean, the bit of a damage add, bit of the movement slow and attack slow that it does, it's okay. It's okay. I would say just mid tier. You can get away with not getting it. I don't think you're losing a whole bunch if you're not getting it. You're getting a little bit of something out of it if you do get it. Shadow Demon. Shadow Poison is no longer dispellable. Demonic Purge Scepter upgrade buff now ends when a new one is cast. Demonic Purge Scepter upgrade. Debuff. I'm gonna make this sentence any more complicated. So his ulties, when you get the Scepter, and if I remember, his Scepter gives you charges. Now ends when a new one is cast. Right, because before, they have to mention that this is related to the Scepter, because before, unless you had a Refresher Shard, you're not casting your ultimate several times on the same hero. So now when you are casting your ultimate several times on the same hero, the debuff, which keep in mind is a slow, which is a break, now ends when a new one is cast. Why is that significant? It's a gradual slow, right? Like there's some variance to his. Try this out. Gonna have to try this out. Just to fully wrap my brain around this. Select hero. I really like Shadow Demon. I think he's a very underused hero. I think he was a great counter to Sven when Sven was a menace. Well, no. When Sven was a menace, he was a menace to everyone, even his counters. So, okay. So, I have an enemy. He's level up, so he can take some damage. And I got myself a scepter. So, oops, that's not what I wanted. Ignore that. Stop. Stop hitting him. Stop. 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 Everyone stop. Okay. So, poor guy. So this looks usual to me. So it hurts him. So he gets the damage dealt to him. That's a bit different than it was before. I think that's the biggest significant change on that, if I'm honest, is that you are then doing the damage that you've casted on him. The slow, not so much. Because I guess you would lose the damage, or the damage would go off in weird ways. Now it's like more predictable. You're going to cast it again, you are finishing the last spell, you're putting a new one on him. Before it was a bit weird, I think, with the damage. Meh, okay. And his Agnum Shard allows Demonic Purge to be cast on allies, continually dispelling them and healing for its damage values. Does not slow allies. Oh, that's really good. Oh, that's really good. I mean, I think you always go Agnums on this hero, in my opinion. If you can afford it, if you have the luxury of affording it, you tend to go Agnums. Go get yourself your one support utility item to help your team out. But then the Agnums is really strong, and the fact that you can use it now as a heal and dispel. Remember, those charges do come up pretty decently quickly. 60 seconds is okay, but they rack up, especially if there's a lull in the fighting. Cool, interesting. Interesting changes to the hero. Shadow Fiend, raise mana cost reduced from 90 down to 75, scaling up to 90. And buff on him on his early game. Level 10 talent increased from 15 attack speed to 20. His Agnum Shard Necromancy now provides 75% spell amp per soul. Okay. Cool. I mean, I like playing Shadow Fiend as a magic damage dealer. He certainly obviously can be played as a right clicker and done well, but I just never really find like the right item and timings to do that. His magic damage I just find quite easy to understand in terms of the game timings. But now the fact that you get more damage amp from souls makes it so that his magic damage build scales more into the late game, so I'm happy to see that. I mean, obviously you have to spend the shard, and that's so. This is an Agnum shard that's like, I know when I'm getting this. It just depends on your build, you know. Am I going right click? Am I going magic damage? Going magic damage, you certainly want to spend that 1400 gold for that extra damage. So, I mean, what is that going to end up being? I don't know. I'm not going to do the math on it, but I mean, consider the cost of a Kaya versus this. I'm guessing the Agnum Shard is just a much more cheaper spell amp damage for him. Shadow Shaman. Mass Serpent Ward damage increased from 50 scaling up to 110. Now it's 50 scaling up to 120. Alright, bit of a buff. In the last two levels, level 25 talent increased from minus 4.5 second hex cooldown to 5 seconds. Level 25 talent reduced from 30 wards attack damage to plus 25. Okay. Not huge. Not huge changes to him, I don't think. The level 15 talent's always a bit of a tricky one. Because it's either his cast range or his hex cooldown. And both are just very tempting. And probably depends on your playstyle and also depends on like where your position, where you want your positioning to be. If you're comfortable and okay with jumping in the middle of a fight and you think you're not going to get destroyed instantly, then the hex cooldown is very big for him. Uh, but then there's the Shadow Shaman who can stay in the back, because he can, if you, and I've seen a lot of this, you go cast range, and then you're comfortable in the back doing everything that Shadow Shaman does from the back in a better position. So I mean, it's really about circumstances, play style, enemy team lineups, the whole gambit. But cool, cool. So his Agnum Shard creates 4 Serpent Wards that attack the target while you're channeling, increasing shackle range by 150. Wow. Quite strong. I mean, think about it. That each of those wards at max level doing 120 damage. That's an extra 480 damage. I would say about every second or so. So that's quite a strong buff to the skill. I think it creates a bit of awkwardness for the guy, because then he's got these wards that he's got to kill before he... I don't know if he can walk diagonally through those or not. Let's see. Because if it also then entraps them in the wards and then they have to do 2 consecutive attacks to get out, or have to use a force staff or something to get out, I mean, that's quite good. It's quite good. This dude, this shadow. Okay. Get all enemy. So he's gonna survive this. I do this to him. Yeah, like that's quite significant damage. Do the full duration, like taking off. How much was that? 1,300 health? Just for his casual shackles that he can do every 10 seconds? I mean, I didn't get a chance to see if those things actually stay. So I go E, I stop. No, you can just walk out of them. I mean, they're still not passable, but there's a little space there that people can walk out of, so it's not like it traps them. But the damage add is quite huge. Serpents themselves didn't look like they lasted too long. They only last 8 seconds, so I mean it's okay. It's okay. Again, it's gonna be one of those ones where you're like, can I afford to do this? Silencer. Last word scepter radius increased from 6 to 650, right? And his rate, and so that makes it so his His curse is AoE, not his curse, his other one. His last word skill. His E. They're just increasing the area effect on that. I mean, again, I don't know. I would rarely go magnums on that just for that AoE. It's good. Like when you think about it, if you can catch 3, 4 heroes in it, who will then become silenced after they cast something and does like what, 300 damage, 350 damage. It's not bad. So his Agnum Shard causes glaives to bounce once towards the closest enemy unit, dealing 50% of your attack damage. Bounce range is... Huh. So I'm guessing... I'm actually looking really closely here, squinting. Yeah, so the bonus damage you're getting out of your glaives does not get reduced. It is just your flat base damage that is being reduced by 50 when it bounces. Isn't it weird that the creep in the back dies first? I would think he would die first because he's taking more of the damage. What's going on here? It's not a bonus. It's not dealing 50% bonus of your attack damage. No, it should be reduced. I mean, that's really strong. That's a really strong, especially for right-click silencer. Holy crap. That's like a mini Luna. The mini Luna. Kyrath Mage. So his shard ability, Ancient Seal debuff, now causes other debuffs applied to last 40% longer. Grants vision over the target. Includes stuns. So he's going to be stunned for a lot longer. What? Why is this? I don't get it. Oh, it's stunned for that long. I don't like this demo video. This demo video doesn't really do a good job of it. But I get it. Okay, so anything that happens to it is just going to be 40% longer for the debuff. Eh. Eh. I mean, it lasts a long time. Ancient Seal lasts a good while. Again, though, I don't think it's so significant that you're gonna like really miss it if you don't get it. No. Lardar. Hello, hey, precipitation with an N at the end. Hello, thanks for joining. So we're doing Slardar. Sprint movement speed reduced from 18 scaling up to 42%. Now 16 scaling up to 40. All right, so slight changes, slight reduction. Sprint River speed rescaled from 7 to 43. Now it's 10% now. So this is big actually, because this is changing from base movement speed to a percentage. So it's kind of like hard to wrap your brain around what that actually looks like in game. But obviously, whenever you go into percentages rather than a flat amount, it's meant to work better until later. It tends to scale better. But then you tend to not get as much benefit early game. I don't know if that's actually the case here because it's really hard to think about what those numbers look like. Slithering Crush mana cost increased from 80 up to 115. Now it's 90 up to 120. Okay, not huge change. He does have, I wouldn't say he has significant mana problems, but well, I'm not sure if you're going to necessarily feel that too much. Scepter HP regen reduced from 35 down to 30. Scepter armor bonus reduced from 12 down to 10. I mean, I don't get the Scepter often on Slardars, so it's hard for me to tell whether that's a big change or not. I suspect it's not. I don't think it's going to change the minds of people who build the Scepter, and I don't think it's going to change the minds of people who don't. So Corrosive Haste causes Corrosive Haste to be applied for 5 seconds to units when they hit with his passive Slithering Crush. Wait, with his Slithering Crush or with his... Oh, an AoE. I thought, so when I first glanced at this earlier, I thought it was his bash. His Deep Sea Bash. But no, it's the AoE stun that he does quite often. It only gets applied for 5 seconds, so that's something to keep in mind. You're not getting the full duration of that, but still, keep it in mind. Someone is going to be getting hit really, really hard um, by that. So, like, I think that's a nice buff. I mean, I think this one is definitely one that gives him a nice add to what he already does. So, and Corrosive Haste is like, was it minus 20? I think at its max level, like minus 20 armor is huge in the late game. Dark. Shadow Dance cooldown reduced from 80 down to 60, 80 down to 50. Bounce Scepter range increased from 1100 to 1200. Level 10 talent increased from +6 agility to +7. Minute. Seems like they're very minute changes. Probably this one's the biggest. Having 10-second Shadow Dance sooner in the late game can mean a big difference between life and death for Slark. So I think that's good. Good for him. He needs it. I've seen him in worse situations than I see him in good situations. So I mean, I think that's a good sign that Slark needs a bit of a buff. Ishbait is Agnum Shard. So you can throw it on enemies to reduce their movement speed by 30 and grant you true sight over them for 4 seconds. If you pounce an enemy during that time, you will be rewarded with 50 attack speed for the duration of the pounce. For the duration of the pounce. I mean, that's good. If he gets a burstment of a burstment, if he gets reimbursed for his attack speed. No, the fact that he gets extra attack speed during his pounce means he's going to be scaling up his agility on that hero like very quickly. Like you never want to go Mask of Madness on this hero because he needs to use his spells very organically. But if you could get Mask of Madness on him without that sort of huge detriment, Slark would be nuts. For him to be able to attack really, really quickly in like a quick burst, like a PA does with for Blink, I think that would make Slark like just grow in DPS exponentially. So interesting. Again, not sure if you're gonna miss this if you don't get it. It's just a nice add. And it's really hard to say, okay, am I going to spend 1400 on this shard, but then delay my, I don't know, what am I building? 20 minutes on Slark. BKB, if it's that kind of a game. Yeah, it's like that's the tricky part. The 20-minute mark is a big deciding moment in the game. Assuming your Rax is still standing at 20 minutes, it's not one of those kind of games. You need to make a big decision usually at 20 minutes. And if you're delaying an item at the 20-minute mark for an Agnum Shard, you better damn well know that you're getting that Agnum Shard for a reason and you're going to use it. Otherwise, you're hampering yourself quite a bit, even if you're farm crazy. Which I mean, almost is like a secret. This sort of like secret. I want to say a comeback mechanic. Think about it. The enemy team, they're doing great. They're kicking your butt. 20-minute mark hits. Everyone on that team's feeling great. They're like, yeah, let's buy shards. 5 of them, all 5 of them, buy a shard. You know, that's a net worth of what? 7,000 gold change? And they don't end up using their shards that effectively? Like, suddenly that's pretty good for you. So I think it's like a secret comeback mechanic. If it's not used right for the other team. Anyway, Snapfire. Oh my god, we're still on S's. I feel like I've just been doing S heroes this whole morning. The Snapfire. Cookie mana cost increased by 100 up to 110. Little Shredder mana cost reduced from 90. Now it's 75 up to 90. Gobble Up now has a 150 mana cost. Gobble Up Spit Out no longer has a 150 mana cost. So now you're committing to the mana. Oh. So that was a cool. So I think I've only got this once, and the only time I've ever used it was to throw my own Shadow Fiend into the fountain. Don't worry, he deserved it. He laughed about it afterwards, so did I. Everyone laughed. It was fine. But now, so Gobble Up, if you got the Scepter, you could theoretically save one of your teammates from a stun, some damage, and without having to spend any bit of mana. But you are spending the cost to actually gobble them up. Now, you need that 150 mana at the start to do it. Yeah, it's a bit of a change. Gobble Up can now target special units like golems. Spirit Bear. Oh, you can throw the Spirit Bear. And you can throw a Warlock Golem. Okay. Bit of a buff to it in that sense. Those things you don't want next to you, so the fact that Snapfire can now shoot those things next to you is it just adds a tiny bit of synergy to Warlock and to I was gonna say Lycan. I mean, you could, I guess, spit a wolf at them, but obviously spitting a Spirit Bear is much more effective. Gobble Up impact damage changed from 400 to match the current Gobble Up values on your ultimate. So debuff to the damage done on impact. So his Agnum Shard upgrades his Scatter Blast. Units in the point blank range of Scatter Blast will be knocked back. Extra damage taken, and they'll be stunned. Gives her a quick little no range stun for Scatter Blast. Yeah, okay, sure. Great against a PA who doesn't have a BKB yet, or has used their BKB. Bit of crowd control to it. Okay. I mean, I don't have a lot to say about that. It's there. Take it or leave it. Sniper. Strength gain increased from 1.7 to 2. Agility gain reduced from 3.4 to 3.2. Base agility increased from 21 to 27, but his base damage is unchanged. Shrapnel charge replenish time reduced from 40 down to 35 seconds. Okay, tiny little changes to him. Buffs? General buffs? I mean, the agility reduced. Yeah. Base agility increase. Like, I don't know. So what, 25 levels, 0.25. 0.25 times 25 is 12. This is a difference of 8. You're getting a 4, 5 agility difference in the end. Well, there's 30 levels, I guess. My math is all wrong. But I don't think that's that huge. I don't really think that's that huge. I think the biggest change is this 35-second recharge time on a shrapnel. A little bit nice convenience for him. You'll be able to utilize that in the early game. Yeah. So his Agnum Shard ability gives him Concussive Grenade, which does a knockback of 425 units, and slowing them by 50% and disarming them for 3 seconds. Okay. Cooldown, biggest thing I'm looking for. What's the cooldown? 20 seconds. Very good. Not very good. It's good. It's great. It's not excellent, but it's great. Mana cost quite significant. Cast range. I mean, good. More utility to Sniper. There's always this thing about Sniper. You tend to need an escape. If the enemy team drafted intelligently, you're going to need an escape with Sniper. Maybe now you're spending 1,400 for a knockback utility. That could be your escape. Because it's good. Like, you look at that. That's enough to, like, knock somebody back and deter them from then just demolishing you. I like how the Sven is just, where's his Agnums? The Sniper should be instantly dead. You can even dodge that grenade probably with his Agnums. But anyway, so this kind of gives you, like, maybe this is another option for your escape. If you're lucky that you're not needing an escape by 20 minutes, which happens as Sniper. You have a good early game. You can get away with not having a escape if the enemy team is hurting. And and you have good teammates that know how to play with a sniper. Because my God, sniper, I think is the factor of sniper most is his teammates of how well he can be successful. Um, yeah, yeah, that's neat. I like that. That's a cool Agnum shard because it's just this dynamic of like you have more options for something you already need. So, Spectre. Base damage speed reduced from 100 to 90. Dispersion rescaled from 7 up to 22%. Now it's 8 up to 20%. Sure. Spectral Dagger cooldown increased from 16. Now it's 22, scaling down to 16. Okay. A bit of a farming debuff, I would say that is, more than anything, but also a bit of an escape. Now you gotta wait an extra 6 seconds before you get that dagger up. That 6 seconds early game could be death. Spectral Dagger mana cost increased from 100 up to 160. Now they buffed it up again. Back and forth, back and forth. 130 up to 160. I think I have played Spectres since the update. I think you need to. I mean, other people maybe do it in a different way. Not Ring of Health. Soul Ring gives you the ability to spam Spectral Dagger to then farm really, really quickly. So this is a bit of a nerf to that. I mean, is it a big nerf? No. I mean, the mana cost is still the same at the higher levels, so honestly, I don't think that's a huge change. Not really that big. Just in the laning stage, I think it just changes his ability to escape. And he's got to commit. If he's going to be using his dagger to harass, it's going to take more of a mana commitment from him. Her Shadow Step Scepter ability now also casts the Spectral Dagger on its target. Yeah, it needed something. I don't think I've ever seen it. I think I've seen someone build it once and it had no effect at all. Thing about like Spectre, a lot of heroes would love this. I love his scepter. Be able to just suddenly teleport to another part of the map on a specific hero. Lynx, Clark, they would have a heyday with it. Spectre, it's like, I don't want to commit that. I mean, you could. Spectre can escape, but he just doesn't have enough burst down damage typically to kill heroes. I mean, unless it's a very squishy, underleveled support. Are you really going to spend 4,000 just for that? Maybe now the Spectral Dagger adding to it. We'll see. We'll see. I don't think we're going to see much more. I don't think it's going to increase the frequency that we're seeing. Scepter ability, maybe slightly. So his shard makes it so dispersion. Oh my god, so this is just, yeah. This can activate dispersion to spawn a haunt illusion to attack the most recent hero that damaged you in the last 5 seconds. Illusion lasts 5 seconds. So I'm gonna right now. I'm just gonna rate this the worst Agnum Shard ability, and here's why. Not that it's not that useful. Actually, it's probably pretty useful, especially if you're quite tanky, and whoever's hitting you is not. Keep in mind that that illusion is going to be doing is dispersion, not as dispersion as desolate, which takes away their vision. I don't think they've changed that. So you do that effectively if it's a ranged hero and they're by themselves with nobody else around them. Suddenly they can't see you, and they're not going to be attacking you anymore. You can escape. Great, fantastic, really good. Still the worst Agnum Shard ability because you know what the hotkey is for legacy keys on this? I kid you not. It is I. The letter I. When am I going to reach across my keyboard to hit the button I for this? Which needs to be done. I mean, I don't know. I'm probably going to click it. I'm just going to click it when I think of it. But like, why whoever designed this just made it I? I get legacy keys are not as frequently used, obviously, since Dota 1. But we're out there. We're still out there. We're still using our legacy keys, and we're proud of it. And to throw a new ability like this and to throw the hotkey I on it is like, what am I going to do? Am I going to have to turn off legacy keys every time I play Spectre and then map the keys just so it's in a more convenient spot? Like, it's just like, it irks me. That irks me. Decent, decent legacy key hotkeys, please. Or make it so it's a lot easier to customize them. Because you can't, if you have legacy keys activated, you can't customize hotkeys, which sucks. Maybe they changed it. I should check it out. I'm gonna check it out after this video in case I'm talking out my butt, talking out my rear end. But, eh. All right, Spirit Breaker. Oh my god, how many more of these heroes do we have? Tiny troll. Oh my god, there's still so many. I really don't want to have to do another part. I really, really don't. I really, really don't. Do I have a choice though? Fair for me to not give as much detail and attention to the rest of the heroes as I did the rest of them? I'm just going to keep going and not think about it at the moment. Spirit Breaker. Another strike cooldown, reduced from 100 down to 60. Now it's 90, scaling down to 50. Okay. Charge of Darkness, Scepter cooldown increased 6 to 7. Charge of Darkness, Scepter movement speed bonus increased from da. Honestly, what's his Agnums? Lower cooldown on his ult? I don't remember. They've changed it a few times. Never buy it on this hero. Maybe it's cool, maybe it's not. Agnum Shard causes Nether Strike to have cast delay rather than a cast time. Dealing 200 extra damage and applying a break. Cast delay rather than a cast time. Is that thing where it just doesn't get interrupted again? Maybe. Anyway, I think the most significant here is the break. And it seems like they're doing that with these shards, is that they're adding new places where you can find a break. Before, it was in very small, rare places that you can get a break. Seems like we've got more options for it. Right. Spirit Breaker, great for breaking heroes. It's in the name, Breaker. Breaker 1-9er. There you go. Storm Spirit, level 15 talent increase from 325 talent to level 25 talent. Overlord pierces spell immunity. Now you get +2 Overload bounce. Causes your attack to bounce up to 2 times at random enemies. Can bounce back if there are only 2 enemies. Wow! So that's cool. Overlord pierces spell immunity, quite insignificant, honestly. I think the slow was probably the best thing about that, right? Sure, it was a bit of damage reduction when they had spell immunity, but this is huge. This is huge. We'll see a lot of this. Electric Rave, coming from his Agnum Shard. It's a new ability. Gives you and allied heroes 75 AoE of you 3 overload charges, including yourself. Lasts up to 12 seconds or until the charges are depleted. 30-second cooldown on it. Mana cost 150. Wow. Additionally, passive provides 400 attack speed to Storm Spirit. Wow, that's really good. That's really, really good. I think you're going to be hard pressed not getting that for 1400 gold on Storm Spirit. That's quite a good one. That's definitely a good Agnum Shard right there. Sven's God Strength reduced. Oh yes, Sven. This is what we've been waiting for. The Sven nerf. I mean, I've already seen it in a play. I have played Sven since the nerf, still didn't win. I have played against Sven since the nerf, still lost. So here we go. God Strength reduced from 110 up to 110 scaling up to 210. Now it's only 100 up to 80. So reducing his damage on his ult. Storm Scepter no longer applies attacks on impact. Good. That hurt. It's the fact that you had an Echo Saber, right? So you were doing a hit from the Stormhammer, his hit, and then another hit. You were getting 3 hits with his ulti. No wonder he was deleting heroes like instantly every 6 seconds or every time he had his Stormhammer up. So good, good. Storm Scepter bonus range reduced from 500 down to 350. Good, good. Less range on it. Perfect. Good, good nerf. Level 15 talent changed from, Storm Spell Dispels. Now it's a 4-second Warcry, and now his Agnum Shard is where he gets his Dispel from. Great. Good, 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 good. So, Ben desperately needed a nerf. I think the ways in which they nerfed him are perfect. I think he's still strong. I think he's still a strong hero. He's just not stupid. I don't use that word lightly. But before, Sven was just stupid. Now, I think it's a little more balanced. I think he's still playable. I don't think these. Maybe you change him up a little bit. Maybe not so much Echo Saber and more of a Mask of Madness. Um, the nerf to his range on his stun is huge. The fact that he's got to spend gold to get that dispel, also huge. Good, good, good. Very happy with those changes. Techies, Blast Off, Agnum Shard, right. Increases Blast Off cast range by 600 and applies a 1.5-second stun to enemies. Cool. Yes, good. More utility to this hero. This is a good hero. Techies is a good hero. People don't like him because nobody likes getting their ass blown up just randomly. Right? No one likes to be IED bombed. Okay? Yes. The feeling sucks. Doesn't mean this hero sucks. This hero's cool, okay? He adds such a cool, different dynamic to the game that you just have to adjust to. Um, Kudos to people who play him. I play him. I enjoy him. I don't play him necessarily well. Um, but come on, he adds a different layer to the game. This shard ability just makes him more of a team fighter. Makes him more useful as a team fighter. So good. He needs that. Um, yeah, yeah. Happy to see it. Templar Assassin. Base strength increased from 19 up to 21. I imagine these are going to be some good buffs to this hero because I think she needs it. Base damage attack range by 20 increased from 140 up to 160. Side blades attack range bonus rescaled from 60 to 240. Now they're 80 to 280. I think that's generally a buff. Well, it makes it a little more effective in the early. Like, you tend not to scale this up fully until later. So, like, the first two levels are most important. In the end, you're getting a decent nice buff on that. Side Blade's spill range is now twice your attack range. Aha, so you can increase it. So it makes a difference if you're increasing your attack range. Okay. Level 10 talent increased from 15 movement speed up to 20. The Agnum Shard makes so sonic traps causes silences to enemies for 2.5 seconds based on how long the trap has been charged. And I think the 7.28a update made this to 3 seconds, so they buffed it even a little bit more. Minimum 0.5 duration. Really good, honestly. I like it. I have an AM that's running away. He's about to blink. Poor bastard is just standing on top of a trap. He's not blinking anywhere for 2.5 seconds. I think that's quite good. A team fight? Like, Templar Assassin. These traps are huge. She has a mini techies. She has a mini techies with these. So a lot of incentive to for Templar to being smart with their traps, and a lot of incentive for her team to be smart to fight around her traps. So, strong hero, very strong hero. I just think like she just gets overlooked. I think there's just so many heroes in Dota that this is just like one strong hero that people just don't get to. Maybe they have like a couple or a few bad games with her, which happens. She's quite situational, but not really. Like, she's situational, but she dominates the mid lane quite well. She farms really easily, and then she's got this utility aspect to her in her traps that just make her great. Definitely one of my more favorite heroes. Terrorblade. Reflection duration increased. So it used to be 2.5 scaling up to 5.5. Now it's 3.25 scaling up to 5.5. Bit more on the earlier side of the levels. Terror Wave ability is now gained when equipping Scepter rather than after Metamorphosis cost. Right. So he had a Scepter that you end up doing a big scare. That just like causes everyone to run away as soon as you turn into your dude. Airwave fear duration reduced from 3.75 to 2.5. I've never seen it. I've never seen it. Since they came out with this new Agnums, I've never seen it. Terrorblade was not much in the meta. And when I did see him played, nobody was getting Agnums on him. The Terrorwave fear now sends units away from you rather than towards the fountain. Okay. Terrorwave Scepter ability now grants you Metamorphosis for 10 seconds. What? Metamorphosis is already active. It extends it by 10 seconds. I see what it's doing. Right, before, when you cast Metamorphosis, you would get this wave. Now it's a new ability, probably with a ridiculous legacy key, hotkey, that you can then use whenever. Grants you Metamorphosis for 10 seconds. What's the cool? I'm sorry, I gotta look at this. I'm giving it an honest college try. When am I gonna actually build an Agnums on Terrorblade? If ever. Level to max. Sure, give me the shard. What does the shard do? Demon Zeal. Cost of current HP cast, providing him extra movement speed and attack speed for 7 seconds. Wow. Provides 50% more bonus. Melee. What? Provides 50% more bonus while melee. For his attack speed and movement speed. Cooldown is 14%. Wow. Whoa. Alright, so it just gives him this nice little oomph. At the cost of some of his health, which honestly, if he's got his ulti up and he's feeling good, no silences around, that's not a big hit. Hotkey is Z. Good. Good. Z is an acceptable hotkey. Neat. Neato burrito. I like that Agnum shard ability. Hitting. Zeal. Hit. It's cool. It's like a mini like Mask of Madness at the cost of some of his health, which he doesn't really care too much about. You get a bit of lifesteal on him. This will feel okay. I thought he had lifesteal as a talent. Anyway, his Agnums. Now, I don't even have it on my hotkeys. Okay, so now it's D, and D is a good legacy. So every what? 90 seconds. So that's a big ol'. It's a big cooldown on that. But when you think of it, it's like this like quick metamorphosis. That gives him a bit of like crowd control utility. I mean, someone jumps him. Refresh. Somebody jumps him. He gets ganked. Pops this off. You know, manages to face off one of these guys. Kills off one of the gankers and then runs away. That's cool. It's really, really good. I mean, is it Agnum Scepter good? Is it 4,200 gold good? He likes attributes. He does. So the plus 10 attributes tell all his attributes is good. Extra mana, health. Yeah. Maybe. I'll think about it. I'll try it. Like usually what I go for, you want some damage, you want stats. You probably want a BKB. Some games you can get away with not going BKB. If they don't have that much disable and you're always confident you're going to get your Sunder off. Yeah, it's hard to imagine when you're gonna actually want to go for that Metamorphosis attack range instead of Center cooldown. It's a lot. Like the attack range is nice. You just want to dominate on an entire screen with your Metamorphosis and illusions. That 25 talent's great, but uh, 6 seconds Sunder, it is just gonna drive your enemies nuts. It's just gonna drive them nuts. Absolutely. You need to be able to silence him, or else you're never gonna kill him, and you're just gonna kill yourselves trying to kill him. So, yeah, yeah, I'll see. I'll try it. I'll try it one day. I have to be in the right mood for it, I think. Tide Hunter, Kraken Shell damage block increased. So it used to be 14, scaling up to 50. Now it's 18, scaling up to 54. Slight buff. Level 10 talent increased from 15 movement speed up to 20. His other level 10 talent changed from 80 gush damage to mana regen. He does have mana problems, but usually I play him as a 4. So I'm getting the boots, the mana boots, and I'm maybe getting a Void Stone because I'm eventually maybe going to build into a Refresher or go with a Lotus Orb or something of that effect. So his mana problems weren't unsolvable. Now you kind of have like... so he's not losing his gush damage. You just get it at level 15, which I think is fine. They buff it up to 120. If you're going Agnums on him, you're no longer getting that 3%. Like, I think that's just a good... I don't think that's a huge change to him. I just think it's making the timings of these better and more usable. I'm going to go for that mana regen. I want it at level 10. Because by the time I reach level 15, I've probably already solved it somehow. Or I'm just not going to need 3 mana regen. Like, 15 will do me. So... yeah, I think those are good changes. There's a right-click build. There's a right-click damage dealing build to Tide Hunter that I don't often see or do, but I think these changes just make it a little more viable. Agnum Shard ability. Anchor Smash increases the damage by plus 90 and increases it to affecting buildings. What? Really? Reduces the cooldown by 1 as well. Ah, that's good. That's really good. So now and then you have a lineup, team drafts, and sadly you are, you don't have a way of taking towers down. You don't have a lot of like well, for whatever reason you don't have a drow on your team. You don't have a sniper on your team. You're just missing that ability to take down structures. So giving Tide the option to be that on your team, to be that tiny who's chunking away at towers, that's really good. Plus the 90 damage. The Anchor Smash, minus 1 second cooldown on it. That's really good. It's really, really good. It promotes him. It promotes him in positioning. I don't think there's a lot of utility to a position 3 Tide. I think he's better played as a 4. And then he opens up for the ability for the 3 to actually be more of a carry type hero. Yeah, this just makes it so if he is playing as the 3 and there is a position 4 that's not as up as high in the positions as he is, he's got this ability to actually be a little more of a right click damaging hero. So I like it. I think overall it's a good change. Timbersaw, you're one of the good ones. Level 10 talent increased from 175 up to 200. Whirling Death base damage. So rescaling used to be 90 up to 180. Now it's 80 up to 200. Whirling Death range increased by 25. Be 300, now 325. Timber Chain speed increased. So how fast it shoots out. Used to be 1600 up to 2800. They say speed increase, but is this distance? No, this is speed. I mean, it's a fast chain. Are you going to notice that, though? Probably a little bit, I guess, earlier. Chakram Scepter. Right, so his Scepter, where you get an extra ulti. Scepter's slow now stacks independently from the primary. So the one will now stack independently from the primary. So they'll stack up. So there's actually an effect of like a further slow when you're overlapping those two ultis. Chakram cast animation reduced from 3 down to 0.5. Vex's scepter as well. Okay. It's a nice little buff on just casting his ult. You did notice it slightly where you'll start missing. It's just a little bit of a learning curve for Timbersaw, is that you kind of had to predict a little more based on his cast time or his cast animation. So you'll be able to, there'll be less of that, slightly. Aghanim Shard ability, so it gives him Flamethrower. Let's see this. Looks like he's peeing. Looks like he's peeing. It actually lights trees on fires too. That's hilarious. Oh, you know Timbersaw just hates trees, so the fact that it lights trees on fires and burns them down. Poor little hoodwinked. This is your counter right here. Okay, cool. So releases a flame in the direction you are facing. Lasts 7 seconds. Applies a debuff that deals 75% DPS and slows for 20 seconds. Sets trees on fire and eventually die after 5 seconds. The cooldown's only 15, and it lasts for 7 seconds. Really good. Really, really good. This is a really good shard. Gives him a bit of crowd control with that 20% slow. And just gives him a little more DPS. Not significant, but a little bit more. And the fact that you're just burning trees as you're walking down, it just looks badass. So I think this is definitely one of the ones that you're more likely to get and less likely to look over. Alright, Tinker has a Scepter rework. Upgrades your laser into a shrink ray. Okay. Causing it to have 400 cast range and reduces the enemy model size and current health values by 20. It stacks. Laser bounces once on the furthest target up to 700 range for the primary target and it prioritizes heroes. Prioritizes heroes. Keep in mind they stack. How long does it last? Shrink ray. Probably as long as the duration of the blind. So you are going to be able to stack this up. And you can get minus 40% health. Probably quite easily. So I think that's a big buff. Good old Tinker here. Don't get me wrong, his last Aghanims was good. Thing about his rockets though, like the extra 2 rockets that you would get were just like a slight, like they would only be useful in a very particular scenario where you're in the mid game and you're winning and your enemy team has squishy heroes. Then the 4 rockets are nasty. The most utility you got out of the Aghanims otherwise is the fact that the blind would bounce to this whole team. So there's multiple right-clicking heroes on the enemy team. You brave yourself, you jump in, you get your laser off, and you apply a good blind to multiple heroes. Honestly, it wasn't that great. So now your Ray is going to have more cast range, which is big. Reducing the model size is just funny. It's just a funny effect. But then the current health values, though, the fact that you can probably get 40%, pretty reliably, you can get a 40% damage or health reduction. It's current health, not maximum health. So that's something to keep in mind. So you're not gonna like do huge amount of damage if the hero's already down. But think about it. Many times when you're Tinker playing against really strong strength heroes, Punkas, Centaurs, Bristlebacks, Pudges. I mean, obviously, you don't want to be wasting too many spells on them. But the fact that you can reduce their current health by 20% is quite strong. on top of his regular damage. Um, and it bounces, so you're going to get 2 targets on this. I think that's generally just a good Agnum's buff. Yeah, sure, you're losing out on those extra 2 rockets, but like I said, those are only useful in a very niche particular part. Or when you hit level 25 and you have the mini stun on the rockets, light buff to that. I think this is a good rework. I think this makes Sticker quite a bit better. His shard, defense matrix. So he can cast defense matrix. And you know what? I like Tinker. I play Tinker. I want to know if you've messed up the hotkeys for this. What are my legacy hotkeys for Tink? If I'm gonna get this, which looks like a utility. So, target an allied unit and applying a barrier to them that blocks the next 200 damage and provides 40% status resistance. Barrier lasts 10 seconds or up until the damage shield is consumed. Cast range is 400, cooldown is 30, mana cost 30, but remember he can refresh it, and he probably will be. And he can apply it to himself, which is also nice. So, cool. A little more utility, and honestly, I'm a bit of a utility tinker. I don't like to admit this, but I like to sometimes get a Glimmer Cape on him, because you can refresh the Glimmer Cape and stay in Viz, or keep someone on your teammate in Viz. Kind of weird. You're kind of sacrificing a lot in ways of what Tinker usually does, but this just gives him a little more incentive to go a bit more utility. So let's see, the shard. What do you got? D! It's D! Oh my god! And hilariously enough, you can just keep doing this. I would like to be immune forever. I mean, are you going to be immune forever? I don't know. Can I keep casting this on myself so that the right clicker is not going to be able to do any damage to me? Maybe. Okay, it's cool. I think it's really cool and useful. It doesn't do a dispel. No. If it casted a dispel, that might be a little bit too broken, but I think it would be cool. But hey, the 40% status resistance. Last 12 seconds. Very last 12 seconds. I think they buffed that. Yeah, they must have buffed that in the last point A patch. So it's 12 seconds now, which makes it that much more useful. Honestly, cool. I like that. I like that a lot. I like that scepter. I'm a fan. I think it'll make people a little more fans of Tinkers to have a Tinker on their team if he is providing that bit of utility. And Tinker needs it. Like me, I know a good Tinker can get into battle and do some damage. Like the kind of learning curve of Tinker is like matched with how well you can like start to progress and move into battle and become a little closer and face to face with heroes. And not just being the Tinker that hides in the back and is just shooting rockets. So, I mean, this just helps them with that. And incentivizes them to be more of that in-your-face hero. So, good. Like it. Like it. What do we got? What do we got? I'm so close to being done. How close am I to being done? I do want to play some games, because, I mean, it's one thing to read about a patch, and it's another thing to actually... There's so many more. You know what? I'm going to leave it here. Where am I at? Am I at a decent spot I can leave it? And it's Tinker. Tinker Stinker. Yeah, you know, I'm going to leave it here. It's probably been well over an hour, almost bridging on 2 hours. It's too long. I know it's too long. Nobody in their right mind is actually going to listen to all this and get this far. This is more for me. This is more for me to absorb what this patch is. If someone else is getting something out of this, cool, awesome, fantastic. Your patience and your ability to listening to a very monotone, boring man talk about the patch, good on you. I'm going to do one more iteration, so there's going to be 6 parts. And I'm gonna try to throw in. I'm gonna try and see if I can organize some guys to get together and maybe do just their own patch. So it's not just me talking about it, just to get a few other perspectives about what's cool in this patch and what works. Yeah, thanks for tuning in. Catch you next time. Peace.